This week on the Escape Key project, we're using some relief plates to make something that was, in my head, braille, so you'd squeeze together and feel the dots. But I felt like braille's been done quite a lot, so instead I had this idea for writing out not B in dots, but you'd have to feel that. Now, I would have used Tinkercad for this. It's very good at controlling elements, so you can see here it's making a little tube and I can cut that through straight away, but in fact aligning them is quite awkward. It doesn't have a pattern or a tile setting, so I'd have to do every single one of the pins, and there were I think 120 on this to start with. Cuts through really nicely, but it's very uneven. So I went back to my nemesis, which is Shaper 3D, and I made all of the pins and then removed them, so I've got the not B there, and you can see it works on a plane, and you can see quite simply how it possibly operates. It's got a sketch mode, so I'm drawing a shape here, and then the way that you build something or cut something is to make that shape and cut through it. So I'm trying to actually cut that rectangle, but the thing with Shaper 3D is it's very hard to actually find the item itself. Because it's in three dimensions, it's very hard to pin down exactly where things are. So I ended up having to flip this over just to demonstrate, and there it is, and then you can control it. So I've cut through that rectangle, and you can see that's rectangle cut there, and you can be precise about it. Anyway, threw that in the 3D printer, and an hour and a half later made the plate, but the measurements weren't quite right. And the one thing you have to remember about 3D printing is that your accuracy needs to have a little bit of tolerance, a little bit of play. In addition to this, the glue was wearing off on the plate, so there was a little bit of lift on the corner, which would make this actually pretty much unusable for the aim. So I made a little gauge so I could test out the sizes that I needed, how they printed, and what they looked like on the actual setup. I tried to do this in Shaper 3D, but really frustratingly, it doesn't allow you to align flat images. So I can make these larger, and I can tile these really neatly, so I can make a whole load of tiles, and they're just messily arranged. But if I want to align those, I can't do that. It doesn't allow me to, because they're not bodies, they're just faces. And that's a really frustrating feature, that you can't align faces. And even when you can align bodies, it's not easy. So for this, I went back to Tinkercad, and here I have all my different shapes. And they might not be laid out perfectly, but it's really easy to align. So I can select, this is me just changing it slightly, so selecting all of these circular holes, and then I'm going to use the align tool, which is here, go back to the top face, and you can see those three dots that allow me to align it to the bottom or to the top perfectly. Really nice feature, really easy to use. Come on, Shaper 3D. To make the actual wooden plate, I used a program called Cuttle. Cuttle is brilliant for tiles. You can see here that I'm adding 2 more rows really easily, and it copies the dimensions across straight away. I can export this as an SVG straight into my laser cutter. And so here's my laser cutter at work, and this video is a reminder that I need to probably clean the glass. The Glowforge gets very mucky. In fact, all of them do. They're burning smoke, and there's a lot of tar in wood as well, although this is wooden. This is MDF, stained MDF, because it's nice and black then. And I've ended up with my print. I printed it black, and you can see actually I didn't add any supports there, so I'm just cutting out this space for the hex bolts. And I need to remember that for the future, is to add a little support inside for those hex bolt holes. And here it is finalised. I've used the green printed pins so that you can see it more easily. You can see how it works out, but you can see the writing quite clearly, and you can either see it or you can feel it. But I was making sure here that the tolerances were right, so it was quite loose, because the idea is that this is going to be hanging under a desk for a player to try and find. So just tightening those hex bolts in each corner that I'd put in, so that there's a bit of play in them, and they're going to be sitting upside down, so I need to make sure that they're actually hovering, if you like. So I checked this by making sure that the bolts were in place, and then seeing the tolerance there, seeing that they would actually sit flat with the weight of the wood. And now here it is finally in the flesh, sitting under a desk, in an escape room, something that you might feel it's a bit unusual, and look underneath, and it's going to take a little while to work out what it says. Rather than a little message or a sticker, there's a little bit of challenge there, but it's also quite tactile. Please do like and subscribe and follow for more of these activities.